peace in Palestine.
How does that apply to this situation?
Well, the reality is you cannot have these levels of immigration without creating very serious problems. So you can have your head in the sand about it and go, anyone who cares about this is a racist, blah, blah, blah. But eventually the consequences start to bear fruit. And then you end up in a position where you get protests just by ordinary people outside of every migrant hotel in the country.
Beyond the obvious, why are people not staying in France? Why are they coming to the UK? I'm interested in the difference between asylum seeker and economic migrant.
Well, the difference, an asylum seeker is someone who's, look, I'm not a lawyer, but basically the broad picture is someone who is fleeing persecution. They're going to get killed, they're going to get tortured, etc. They're going to, because they are, of the wrong religion in their country, or they're gay, or they're fearing political persecution, whatever. An economic migrant is someone who isn't being persecuted, but that lives in what some controversial people might describe as a shithole country, right? And they don't want to live in a shithole country, and I don't blame them. I don't blame them. But that does not mean that they get to circumvent the rules that we've instituted for our country.
Of course. Of course. Of course. Right, I think what he's talking about, there's effectively a loophole where there are economic migrants and not legit asylum seekers. So if we think, based on evidence and not hearsay, that the Home Office are just waving through economic migrants, and let's look at the stats, let's look at the evidence. But not hearsay eyeballing somebody and just making assumptions, because that's something else. But if we accept the reality that we don't have a clue about the evidence of what the Home Office used to assess anybody for data protection and a million other reasons, then the conversation's about something else. Maybe it's about withdrawing from the treaty altogether, which has its own ethical standpoints about what is Britishness and the concept of fairness. Remembering that we helped create this thing back in the day about true Christian values and true ethical values, about what kind of society that we are. And it's not about who shouts loudest, it's about the majority, and the majority vote people in. So fair enough, if everybody votes in reform and they got this as part of their agenda, then I guess that's the way we're going to go. And it's shamefully disappointing, we're leaving people to be in persecution and to die and be tortured. Is that really what we're about? And if we go the other way, and I would definitely go the other way, then hopefully the genuine asylum seekers will still have a home, whether it's in the UK but somewhere else where they can be safe and live a life and prosper. You know the drill. The full video that I've just talked about is going to be round about here towards the bottom of the screen if you're on a mobile. Otherwise, the link's going to be in the description or the comments.